Traveler, what are you doing here? Can't you see it's dark in the middle of the desert? Well, naturally, I guess you can't see, because it is dark. But that's beside the point. Are you sure you're okay? You look really dazed. Don't you remember what I've told you? Keep your guard up. That's right. And it seems as if you haven't been following my advice. Wandering around in the desert, in the dead of night. The perfect time and opportunity for a group of those so-called treasure hoarders to jump you. Here, follow me. I'll take us to some shelter. There's a good cave nearby that'll shelter us for the night. Traveler, you're really wobbly. Are you sure you're okay? I can carry you if you want. No, I assure you, I'm strong enough. I may look pretty weak, but trust me, I can easily carry you to the cave. Come here before you fall. There, better? I'll give you some water once we get there. It's not too far now. Once we get there, we can rest. What was I doing? Well, as you know, I have to uphold the rules of the academia. I heard some rabble-rouser had fled to the desert region, and so I was combing around to find him. Luckily, I ran into you. Judging by your state, you wouldn't have lasted much longer. Not too much farther. You want to snuggle me when we get there? Well, as much as... You know what? Screw it. I have never postponed a search before, but for you, I'd do anything. I'll even snuggle you to sleep, and then keep watch to make sure that we're both safe. Seems like you're already starting to drift off. Well, don't yet, please. Oh, here we go. Here's the cave I was talking about. There. Now, here. Drink some water. Take it slow. Just a couple of sips. When you're dehydrated, the last thing you want to do is take big gulps of water. Just ease it in. There you go. Nicely does it. Okay, I'll give you some more water in about 5 minutes. That way, we can let your body absorb what you just drank. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. The Vision Hunt decree started maybe more than a few months ago at this point, nearly reaching to a year in just a few more months. Visions were being taken left and right, and people were suffering from the loss of their symbols and proof of ambitions. All of them would delicately be placed upon the Raiden Shogun statue, displayed almost in a mocking way towards the owners. It was amusing the way he would sit down and think about it and realize that some soldiers really thought they were going to take his vision. He's reputable amongst most of the civilians, and to be fair, none of them knew that he had a vision on him, thanks to the way he hid it. So it wasn't surprising that none of the soldiers knew of it either. There were more than a few times where he was stopped by suspicious soldiers, vaguely inspected, and sent on his way. In truth, the Vision Hunt decree had almost little to no effect on him personally. I know this is not the whole truth, her voice said, steady and clear. Why are you here, Moriyama? She knew very well the truth of the matter here. Sangonomiya Kokomi was more perceptive than he gave her credit for. Her eyes were boring into him, holding no such malice, just bewilderment and curiosity. He looked back at her, holding back the urge to snicker. She could not read the expression on his face, but she knew his personality well enough in the short moment spent with him. She was more than aware that he wasn't taking this as seriously as he meant to. Why was he here? Just to out himself to most of Inazuma as a vision bearer and willingly put a target on his back when he is practically already in the clear? She wouldn't let him in regardless of his answer, but is in her best concerns to at least ask. You know who I am then? He questions, leaning forward in his seat. Most people do, she responds, eyes flickering down to her work desk. Moriyama Mitsuki, a manipulative, studious, and adventurous man who has set his eyes on exploring every corner of Inazuma and its history to reap the knowledge for your personal goals. Many vouch for you, saying that the kind side of you will often display is part of you, and others claim that you are as heartless as you appear to be, enough to leave people die. I may not be who I say I am entirely, but I am no villain, and you must know how I feel about lying. You are close to a liar, she admits, but looks distantly at him again. I will admit, though, it is hard to not know who you truly are and what you truly want. His eyes twitched briefly through the lenses of his glasses, Archons. He hated this sort of conversation. He experienced this manner of torture from Yai Miko, and now he would be subjected to it here too. The way they think they can get a single glance at him, he reads his personality, and reads his whole personality and life story like an open book. Sorry, I'm not the best at reading. It irritated him beyond belief. I know what I want, Sangonomiya. He spat her clan's name like it was a curse. It would probably be in your army's best interest to allow someone with my strength to join. I never said I wasn't going to let you join, Kokomi states calmly. I won't turn away anyone willing to help the resistance. I am just curious as to your motives, is all. Any normal person would normally keep out of this, would they not? Especially since none of the Shogunate's army suspects you, and you are technically under the protection of the Grand Narukami Shrine. Ever since— Quiet! He hisses at her to stop her from continuing telling his long tale, and lets out a sigh of relief after she obeys and sits in silence. If you really must know, my interests are in the history of Inazuma. This, the resistance against the Vision Hunt Decree, such a war is a huge part of history, and I intend to experience every part of it, even when I have to put myself and the whole world in danger. Besides, Watatsumi Island is not an exception to my investigations. I intend to find the secrets about this place that even you do not know of. That is like you, is all she says about his reasonings, and stands from her desk, grasping at nearby papers as she does. You can seek out General Goro for more details on your arrangement in the army. With your intelligence and strength, we could we could use you in a higher status than just a soldier. She begins arrangements. I'll begin. Oh, my apologies. I'm really tired. I'll begin arrangements to officially enlist you when he gets back to me. In disbelief, he also stands with a confused look. You're going to leave this job to a general? I trust him, she nods confidently. He's a good judgment of character. Besides, I've touched upon our acquaintanceship briefly with him, so he is basing his judgment off mine too. Oh really? His brows raise slightly. And what would your judgment be? She momentarily stops in her movements and flashes a smile at him. Her unnatural switch in expression made him furrow his eyebrows, almost embarrassed that it appeared positive, but he does little to hide it as he normally would. You are subconsciously flawed. Subconsciously flawed. She knew his personality a little more thoroughly than most people did, so it could be said that she was saying that to tease him. Still, it was annoying him. What did that even mean? He was not flawed. What an insult that was. She must have been very jealous of his aura of perfection to throw such a pathetic insult at him. Yes, jealous is what she was. Humans were all flawed, yes, but he was more than that. He was better. Could she not see that? Whatever. He threw the thought into the back of his mind. as it was only a few moments ago she said this. She had left him on his own to find his General Goro himself. Leaving the room, he took in the Watatsumi views. It was certainly a more beautiful place compared to Rito and anywhere else he had explored. The floating bubbles that he felt tempted to grab or throw rocks at teased him from afar, and he shook his head at his own childishness. He made his way down the steps of the Sangonomiya shrine and ended up in... He took a small hand-drawn map out of his Inboro village. He noticed a few soldiers stationed there, and obviously part of their Watatsumi army. Some villagers, or innocents, as he so liked to refer them as. He had never heard of or even seen General Goro, but Kokomi sent him off with confidence that he'd locate him, and he wasn't about to trudge back up the stairs to ask her. He hated unnecessary walking anyways. Pardon. He tapped on the shoulder of one of the soldiers, and when he turned, he raised a brow and looked up at him, up and down. Apologies, but might I know where I can find General Goro? Who are you? He asked, blatantly ignoring Mitsuki's own question. Moriyama Mitsuki, he replied, with the restraint of an angel, and the soldier's eyes grow wide. Now, where is he? Oh, he murmurs, suddenly less confident than before to even look at him. Eyes averted to the side, General Goro. Should be traveling with the new recruits, I'm sure. Okay, where? He prods again, and the soldier stays quiet a little longer than necessary. Behind the lenses of his gaze is sharp and judgmental, and intensified every passing second that he wouldn't look back. Mitsuki, you said, right? A voice behind him responds, and Mitsuki finally takes his eyes away from him to meet the gaze of a girl, just a bit younger than him it seemed. His intense gaze automatically softened, trying to maintain some semblance of a polite face. Ah, yes. You are? You can call me Fumiko. Fumiko bowed her head slightly, and Mitsuki, for once, did not return the politeness, feeling oddly satisfied with the difference in attitude. Her head raised shortly after, and her eyes looked straight at the soldier briefly before turning back to Mitsuki. I can lead you to him, if that's alright. Alright. He accepted her offer with a nod, and made sure to avoid even looking at the soldier. He was sure that his gaze would scare him more than he meant to. Lead the way. Mitsuki followed after Fumiko, who had turned on her heel and began to lead him closer towards the shore of the island. It was a quiet walk, and he had the opportunity to look her up and down. She was clad in what looked like shrine wear. Maybe she worked for the Sangonomiya shrine or something. Her hair was dark and short, brushing softly against her eyelashes that framed her yellow irises. She was pretty. I assume you're here to join the Watatsumi army, correct? Her voice was soft, quiet, just like earlier, and curious. Then suddenly, questions halted. The sudden question, halted his wandering gaze, and he now looked straight ahead. Yes, he nodded. Or something similar. Why is that? What do you mean? Archons. Was his reasoning so intriguing? He despised having to repeat himself, even to different people. He supposed it would be better to be honest than to have people assume it was for their protection. He would make it clear that he did not need any manner of it. Never mind, she shook her head. You're very popular is all, and yet I never knew you had a vision. I was truly surprised and honored to hear that you are joining the fight for the safety of vision bearers and putting yourself at risk in the process. I think if many people were in your position, they would not take this path. Of course. A small smile extended on his face as he turned her gaze to him briefly. I too bear a vision like you said, and seeing the aftermath of these people who have had them taken away was one of the most moving factors for this decision. I see. Well, your assistance is most appreciated. I'm sure General Goro will feel the same. Mitsuki's eyes rolled as the woman turned her attention back in front of her, the smile on his face flattening to a frown. He better. Traveler? Traveler? Have you fallen asleep on me? I guess that's okay. I guess it's a little awkward for me. After I finished that chapter, I meant to tell you some things about myself. But I guess that won't be happening tonight. But let me give you one more gift before I leave you be. I feel creepy kissing a sleeping person. I know. I'll explain myself in full detail tomorrow morning. Good night.